Hi, hello, and welcome to Women Realities. This 17th day of March 2021. My name is Sylvia. I'm on board, and today I'm not alone. I'm with Mrs. Esther Hobamian Michelia, who is a convener of the Women Arise Development and Humanitarian Initiative, WADHI. Welcome, madam.
Thank you very much, Sylvia. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you here. Talk about women and the challenges they face doing business in Nigeria. Okay, so we would like you to be a part of this discussion. If you have questions or you know of any challenge any woman can face doing business in Nigeria, feel free to drop your comments and tell us. And if we have answers to it, and I hope Madam will have a lot of answers to all of your questions, she will probably or hopefully give you the answers you seek. Okay. The women entrepreneurs in Nigeria are set to account to larger number of enterprises, creating employment and contributing to the growth of the Nigerian economy. Now, however, in spite of the significant role played by women-owned businesses, they face some socio-economic challenges which limit their growth and competitiveness in the marketplace. And what are some of these unique challenges women-owned businesses face? That is one question we intend to answer today. And also, how can the challenges be overcome to enable women's businesses grow? As the episode of Women Realities today, as I speak with Mrs. Esther right here in the studio. So, madam, a report by the PricewaterhouseCoopers (PwC) shows that 40% of women in Nigeria engage in micro businesses. Would you say that's a good one?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. And in the rural areas, you actually have higher numbers. So that's an average. In some communities, over 60% of women engage in micro enterprises in the rural areas. And so they constitute really the backbone of the rural economy. They're the ones providing the services, the care, the food, the services that they need to be able to carry on with day-to-day life.
Oh, okay. So it's that the rural women are doing a lot of businesses compared to women living in the urban areas?
Well, because the rural economy is often seen as a small economy, but look at the population that is there. Their demand for food, their demand for clothing, their demand for medication, their demand for education, the teachers, the nurses, the nurse assistants. Most of those are women who are really at the lower end of the ladder. You know, they're unrecognized, they provide care services. All of those are not accounted for, and they uphold that rural economy, because if you take them out, how many cars do you have in a rural community?
Not
how
much
many train stations do you have?
You
know, how many airports do you have in a rural community? So, but what keeps that rural economy going is the day-to-day production, the goods, the services, the care for the human capacity. That is really the asset of the country, is that where our population is, that is where our strength is. And it is the women who keep that population going. We're giving the food, the water, the firewood, the shelter, you know, they keep the place safe, clean. So all of that is, you know, unaccounted for and unrecognized, but it's a lot of enterprise.
Okay, but there seems to be a gap between women who are working in the medium scale enterprise and the small scale enterprise. Well, according to the to Sweden and National Bureau of Statistics, a collaborative survey they did says only 16.8% of small enterprises and 12.2% of medium enterprises are owned by women in Nigeria. So, what do you think are the factors here responsible for this gap?
Well, the gap, maybe the records, you're talking of documented SMEs.
Yes,
and that's one of the challenges. Women run informal cottage level industries. They're not registered. They do not have any form of documentation to show that they are providing a business. And therefore, they don't even feature in the statistics. And you have now free they're doing with the Corporate Affairs Federal Ministry of Trade and Industry, and to actually get the women to. Of it is because the issue, then an energy that it takes the children when she has to get to that time to register. material, water. She needs to get services that will help the children to go to school and the family to be comfortable. So what time is there for her to complete the tedious forms, because they're not simple processes? And what form of identification does she have to be able to go through those processes? That's why we actually appreciate the national identity that is going on. It will help, because once people begin to get national identity numbers, it makes the process of documentation easier. Of course, they also don't own a lot of bank accounts. You should know that women are the unbanked. So where do they have the records that they are saying 16%? It is a record of those who are actually documented structures. We're talking about system.
Undocumented on board in service, the women guys. So
well, what we are doing is we actually have a mobile application called the Kogo, and with that we are recruiting women and training them in financial literacy, so that with their phone, their little tiny phones in their home, in their small market space, they can actually transact business. And when you build their confidence, then they're able to keep their records, because that is what keeps them away from the financial institutions, is that they do not have record of their businesses, and if they are assessed using the industry standards, they don't qualify. But we know that statistics also shows that 90% of women who are loan beneficiaries repay. So they're not defaulters. It's just that they do not have, the skills, the knowledge to be able to document their businesses, package it well, to be able to meet the requirements, which of course any sector, have to keep records, them to generate their records, their business, and then helping them to now reach the financial. And through that, we are also working with consumers and industry markets, where they can come, and once consumers, then record in the self-estimate this, then they will count in the national accounting system.
It looks like interesting. It looks like the government is right in what they're doing. Bringing up policies to help businesses, especially women-owned businesses, and they repay their loans, like you said. And it got me thinking. Okay, the woman who is a farmer in the village, if you give her that 5,000 naira to farm, and you tell her how much can you make out of this? They can tell you, oh, 25,000, I'll give it back. They will always stick to their words and repay. But from what the government has, the economic sustainability plan to cushion the effects of the COVID-19, what the effect and all what it has brought upon businesses in Nigeria. What level of impact do you think this policies such as this, does for small businesses, especially women-owned businesses?
Okay, I think a few things it has done. One, it has made the women to realize that government is mindful of them. That their little needs, they are not invisible within the policy space. And then it has actually enabled some of the beneficiaries. Some of them are our associates, those who have benefited through many umbrella organizations and through the state. Many of them have been able to acquire tools to expand their business. So for some, they have bought more hair dryers. In fact, we have one who has now bought a solar rechargeable manicure set, So, and it enables us to understand their problems better. Is it space? Is it linkage to market? Is it export? And that is why I told you about the Araha market. It's a monthly market, and we're using it to prep them.
What do you call it, Araha?
Araha farmers market. Yes, it's a discount market where we bring the producers directly in contact with the consumers. Eliminate the middleman just for once in a month, and it may grow to monthly, but at least it builds the confidence of the sellers, and it makes life more affordable to those who are at the bottom of the ladder and their family budget is very low. So they can come there, buy fresh vegetables, freshly produced items directly from the producers and not through traders. Traders have their place too in the economy, but of course sometimes you do need to empower particularly the farmers, because the middlemen buy at farm gate price, and sometimes the farm gate price is not enough to sustain the farmers. And that is why sometimes you have the occasional farming, the occasional scarcity, because the production and the sale are not balancing. They're not making adequate profit to be able to scale up in terms of their food production.
All Okay, so women, well, I see some people nodding their heads, and I guess you're also nodding your head as you're watching, but we want you to also contribute on this episode of Women Realities as we look at challenges women entrepreneurs face in Nigeria. How can we find solution to this, or overcome those challenges that you're facing? We'd like to take your comments and even answer your questions. If you have any for Mrs. Esther Elbaman Michelia, who is a convener of Women Arise Development and Humanitarian Initiative, WADHI. Okay, so talking about not initiative, now the challenges women face. Some of these challenges are often said to be, not how do I put this? They are really challenged, so tough that even women who have children to take care of, become so overwhelmed by the challenge that they give up on even starting businesses of their own. So for women who are caregivers and also business owners, how can they marry the two to overcome the challenges that might overwhelm them, in your opinion?
Well, childcare, motherhood is a God-given, responsibility for women, and it is not supposed to be a burden. And so what we encourage our women, actually with the Abuja Chamber of Commerce, we are trying to set up a business incubation center in the city. We'll let you know when it's rolling out. What we need to do is to integrate childcare services into marketplaces, into trading platforms, so that childcare is not a barrier and a distraction to women. That's what happens all over the world, is that childcare services are very close. The proximity to schools, to markets is short, so that it does not constitute a barrier, because childcare is just a phase in the life cycle of a woman. And you do not want to say, because of that, you stuntify, or you make her you get her to get stuck in one phase of her life. The children will grow and she will continue to contribute to the economy of the country. And so it's a phase where it's a careful balancing act. You do not want to compromise childcare. No woman wants to compromise childcare.
So how can the society help them?
It's childcare. It is policies that integrate childcare into public facilities. It is knowing that the responsibility for childcare is a collective responsibility. It's not just a personal responsibility of the woman. And that is what the 65th theme, the CSW 65th, is looking at, that if women are in leadership, a lot of these policies will recognize that these needs and services that women provide, like childcare, family care, they're actually societal, they're services for the common good of all. And therefore, they should be part of public service, offered, regulated, so that it is not difficult. It is not because you've heard all the stories. Gender-based violence springs out of unregulated social services like that. Nobody is monitoring and regulating to. If people drop their children, they are being cared for properly. They're caring for children, are licensed. Regulating childcare and not seeing it in the bigger picture of a common good for all, and not just for the woman because she needs to protect her children. The children are assets to the country.
True.
And as you see, like today, we are celebrating Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. Somebody cared for her. She went through all those processes. Those things were investments to the future that the country is now reaping. So we must continue to count childcare as a social future and integrate it into our policies because of the benefit in the future.
I think I'd love if this is actually incorporated. But for family support for female entrepreneurs, we have women who are married, yes, with husbands who, yes, some of them are supportive, but we also have people who don't get that kind of support from their spouses or family in general. So how can families be a support system, a strong support system for female entrepreneurs?
Well, some of the facilities that have helped in other jurisdictions and other clients is common facility, where you have collective production centers, collective packaging centers, collective, processing centers, so that women who cannot afford, because sometimes it's an affordability issue that brings the crisis. Once it is no longer affordable and it is affecting the family budget, then it becomes a challenge. But when those facilities, common facilities, are available, then it becomes available to even the woman who is producing very small scale and serving just her immediate community. And therefore, it's not obstructing her services at home, and it is not obstructing, the benefits that the family would have of her, or reducing her contribution to the family. Once those are also seen as a community, a state enterprise, and the state will benefit from it because of the goods, you are adding value, you are improving a value chain, then we should know that supporting individual women through collective processing centers is a common investment for all, and it will benefit both micro and small medium enterprises.
All right, finally, I know you're in a hurry, but we have to take this. We have a comment already, and somebody is asking, Sania Smile says, how have you been able to reach rural women in terms of aid using your organization?
We do not give aid as in, but we do give loans. We facilitate access to loans. We work with FCMB, Access Bank, and we help the women to profile them and link them to the banks. Once they've signed up on our application, the COGO, then you go through the training, your records are kept, and it can then serve as proof that you are a genuine businesswoman. We also have the COGO Cooperative Revolving Loan, where cooperatives come, and as a cooperative, they loan together, with us being the facilitator with the bank, and we've had a lot of success. The cooperatives pay back, and members keep revolving the loan among themselves and scaling up their businesses.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Esther Heberman Michelia. She is the convener of the Women Arise Development and Humanitarian Initiative. Well, so well. To every woman who is watching, she's a with what is coming out from your mouth. I must say that you know what you're saying, and you continue to do what you're doing.
Woman of every woman back is for the good of the nation.
Your powerful words there. What's our episode? Realities. www.net. You can follow us on all of our social media platforms, and also